All right, Kyle T. Mosley here from HBCU Legends. I got a legend. I got the man, the myth, the legend out of Texas Southern. You know, he's the only man that gave us a championship down here at Texas Southern University. And but he also knows the game of football. He's one of those cold brothers. He's stone cold brothers, we call him. It's none other than Coach Johnnie Cole. Hey, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, that guy just left out the door, man. Do I need to run and get him?
No, we're
Uh,
talking to him. We're talking to him right now, man. But
thank
look,
you for the
Coach,
introductory.
you're welcome. I know
Yeah.
you are short on time, but I could not start the new season without grabbing you, man. You know, and
Mhm.
had to get your perspective on a couple of things. First of all, there were a lot of fireworks down here at Texas Southern PV press conferences, but I was telling people that's much ado to about nothing. It's for the theatrics of it all, or is there something underlying that we don't know about? And I know you know the coaches very well. What's going on, Coach?
Well, of course, it's an underlining thing. Tremaine Jackson is, a flamboyant coach that believes in himself, and sometimes his confidence makes some people feel uncomfortable. And all he's been doing is selling his program. He's not downgraded nobody. He hasn't named anybody. He just talking about his program and talking about himself. I believe in that. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sell your program and sell tickets. That's what a head coach's job.
Yeah,
It ain't to be a good old boy. I think on the other hand, Coach Dishman, maybe have taken it in the wrong way, because on the flip side of that, I've been kind of trying to keep up with what's going on. I ain't heard him call Coach Jackson or Coach Tremaine Jackson yet. He always calling him Mr. Jackson or Tremaine.
or
But,
Tremaine. Right.
once again, that's his his way of doing things, and I'm glad that he got my Tigers fired up, and hopefully it'll all end tomorrow. At least it'll start at 7 and end at about 9 tomorrow on who's going to be victory. And then, coaches, man, usually let that all go, and hopefully they'll make up to each other. And if not, it's always a good rivalry. It's like Muhammad Ali and Frazier. When I came to
Yeah.
Texas Southern, the thing they always told me, we don't lose to Prairie View. We just don't lose to Prairie View. And that's all I've ever known, besides when I've, of course, coached on the other side.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, a lot of people believe the fraternity of coaches is a fraternity, but also you don't like everybody. You don't have to like everybody, right? You
Well,
respect the guy, you don't have to like him.
without a doubt. I mean, uh, sports is an egotistical business, and all of us think we the best thing since sliced bread, and
True.
that's okay. I don't mind a cocky guy, as long as he can back it up, because he got to, at the end of the day, got to back it up on the field.
That's right.
All this new onset of hiding the quarterback and who gonna be the tailback. In my day, the quarterback usually gonna be the guy on the front page of the flyer, so
Right.
everybody already knew who he is. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's gonna have a difference on who you got on your team and who not, because at kickoff you definitely will see.
Yeah. Ralph Cooper and I spoke about that, and Coop also was very vocal about how he felt. It did. He said, in a game of this magnitude, do you think Eddie Robinson would have hidden Doug Williams or not talked about Doug Williams? If he did not talk about Doug Williams, or if the coaches in the past didn't talk about Robert Brazil or Kenny Burrow at these press conferences, what do you think would happen? And I said, you bring up a valid point, Coop, because bottom line, it's about the players, in my opinion.
Once again, man, if you don't know the history of HBCU and the SWAC and the MEAC, and that's what has happened to our conference. That's what we do. We trash talk one of each other. It's brotherly love.
Yeah.
I got this player. I got too tall, and it's good for the kids. I mean, how you gonna go out and go recruit and you don't ever say nothing about how good your kids are? You know, you never commit to them about who's gonna play and who's not gonna play. You know, because you're not telling the public, hey man, at kickoff, you're either gonna be ready to play or you're not. You know,
Bottom line,
at the,
right?
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you holding some back ain't gonna be the key unless you got some gorilla running out the locker room that in fur with a helmet on. Now, hey, you got me there. But I've seen Eddie Robinson Jr. I mean not Junior, Eddie Robinson, Marino Cassim, W.C. Gordon. These great coaches when we used to go on the SWAC tour. You know, and man, they get up, man, and I'm telling you, man, they had the people so fired up in there. Hey, they buy season tickets, they selling T-shirts. It used to be a wonderful thing. And then the players, you know, we used to travel with them.
Yeah.
You know, I traveled with Willie Todd, Jerry Rice, Jackie Walker, these greats. You know what I mean? And most of them went on to play in the pro, but we all became friends. But on that day, on that Saturday afternoon,
it was on.
At kickoff is on.
It's on. All right. I won't belabor that point. Texas Southern just came out today, Coach. I didn't know if you heard that they appointed a interim athletic director, Dr. Paula Jackson. Are you familiar with her?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Paula. She's been around, you know, and kind of bounced around to a couple other schools, and you know, she's had some success, but you know, I don't know, you know, interim tag, does that mean the real tag? You know, I don't know that situation. I do understand they need to get somebody in that place, and evidently they didn't have a lot of confidence in the people that was already over there. So, you know, Paula's a good one. You know, she's been around black college football or black colleges as well. She's a graduate of herself. And, you know, hopefully she'll do excellent. I'll make sure I'll reach out to her and try to get a hold to her. Maybe bring her on our show, you know, because it's been tough, you know, with me and my I got this opportunity to say me and my relationship with my dear Armada. So hopefully, you know, I get a chance to, you know, talk with her either now or during homecoming.
Yeah. Hopefully that smooths some things over, right?
Well, I hope so too.
Yeah. All right. And last night, before I let you go, we got to talk about this. You know, quarterbacks better than anybody else, being an old quarterback yourself.
Yeah.
Andrew Body, former Texas Southern quarterback, great kid, went on to Alabama State, had re-injured his shoulder, had Dr. Andrews to be able to go in and surgically repair that. If you guys don't know, that's the same guy that did Drew Brees' shoulder, guys.
Yeah.
So Andrew Body, what's your assessment of him? How did he look to you last night?
Well, I'm gonna give a shout out to his dad because he's been wearing me out and making sure that I keep his son out there in front, you know. And he's one of the guys who believe in his son, and it doesn't surprise me. This kid has put a lot of work in. A lot of things been said about him, about he's just a running guy. He can't throw. He's injury prone. I think last night shut everybody up that this kid is the real deal. And he don't throw a bone or into this conference now that everybody is sitting back and saying, whoa, Jackson State who? Alabama State who? Southern who?
Yeah.
This kid is a one-man show, you know, and hopefully they don't use him too much where he will get injured, but I think he ain't. I think he's in great shape. Has a great attitude, man, and you know, of course, his family supports him a lot, man. And I look for great things. Yeah. You know, this kid's name, the way he came out against UAB, his name might be thrown up in the NFL draft. You talking about these other kids? I mean, this dude, this kid can do it, you know. And he's a great kid. He's a Kappa. And I gotta say,
you had to throw that one in.
Yeah. You know, I got to go to but and he's been, you know, with some coordinators, which expand your knowledge of the game, and it doesn't surprise me. And I gotta say, buddy,
Andrew Body.
Yeah.
Drew, let's take a look at this play.
He takes it out to the 40-yard line. Andrew Body
Hear that voice in the back? That was me. I was so proud of Andrew, man, to just be able to have him to do that, Coach. That was just outstanding on the second play for the Hornets. And then he just kept going on. He accounted for over 5 touchdowns total, 4 through the air, 1 on the ground.
Yeah.
Outstanding game.
Yeah. Oh, he's dangerous. You put pressure on him, he can escape, he can extend plays, he can throw the deep ball. He's been working on the short game. You can tell that he can throw the short game as well. He's going to be tough. They got to protect him. They got to play better defense, to keep him off the field so long. The defense got to get some stops, so they
That's
can play.
concerning, right?
Yeah. And so they can, run the ball a little bit, slow the game down when they need to. But he's going to be hard to be reckoned with, man. And he's definitely a guy that I guarantee the NFL eyes going to start going that way. Because not only, can he play the game of football at quarterback, he got skills enough to play wide out. He got skills to play in safety in the secondary. So, man, I'm excited for him, man. I'm really excited for him and his family. They've been through a whole lot.
Yeah, they sure have, especially recently. Some personal issues there, tragedy, I should say. But 18 of 24, 75% passes completed for 312 yards, 4 touchdowns, as well as a rating of 239.2.
Wow.
Excellent night for Mr. Andrew Body. Accounted for over 431 yards of total offense just by himself.
Yeah, we need that in our conference. In the last couple of years, Mosley, you've been around a long time. Achilles Glass, I think, was the last quarterback that really done some things, threw the ball. But we hadn't had the McNairs and the Titans and the,
exactly.
We hadn't had those kids, the Eugenes from Grambling. We just hadn't had those kids. And Darnell Kennedy from Alabama State.
The dynamics.
We need this guy to come in and give the SWAC a shot of B12 in the arm. And I think he's at the right school, he's at the right place, and he's behind the right coach of Eddie Robinson Jr. To expose his talents, man. And, I can't say enough. I'm excited about, I might have to change some of my schedules and get down there and watch him play live.
Head down to Montgomery. Should be pretty special. All right, before we get you out here, Labor Day Classic, the 40th. That's going down. You participated in quite a few of these yourself as a coach as well as a player. What are some of the keys to victory?
Well, anytime you open up, the season, one of the keys is we don't want to beat ourselves, turnovers. In Texas Southern, they coming into their second year, under Chris Dishman. They beat Prairie View last year 29-7. Went on to have an okay season compared to Texas Southern seasons in the past, even though it wasn't a winning season. But you got to take your hat off. They definitely look brighter. Texas Southern want to run the ball and stay conservative, play a lot of man coverage. Of course, on the other end, you got Coach Jackson coming in, and you talking about transfer youth. He called it the 21 and up club. So he's went out and got a lot of older kids that had some experience. And, the thing about Tremaine, Coach Jackson, I know, is that he's going to have a disciplined program. They're going to do it his way. They're going to beat to his tune. And, he got some players. He got some transfers from Memphis, USC. He brought 8 players from Valdosta State. He's won everywhere he's been. And I think he's going to continue to do that in the SWAC, whether it's win the SWAC or not. He's going to be tough to deal with every week. And he knows coming in this game as well because he's coached big-time games. So, when you look at both coaches, even though Chris has played in big games, it's different when you're on the sideline. and Coach Jackson has been there. He's done it. He's been a part of some championship teams as a caller, not necessarily as a part. So that's a big advantage I think for Prairie View. But Chris has had his team longer, and I think that's an advantage as well. They're taking on his personality. So
They surely are. Yeah.
Man, I'm looking at it for a great game.
Yeah, me too. Vic, Deshaun Jackson, they had their debuts last night. There were some learning lessons that occurred there with those guys. And Deshaun Jackson, credit him. He spent 10 minutes with the media, kind of going over and reflecting. But his Hornets, they really played pretty well considering the injury to their quarterback. Do you think it's just going to be a little bit more bumps in the road and these guys will come and see their way through, especially going toward the end of the season?
This is what I like about Deshaun Johnson. Deshaun, his team looked like a team. They look different. They don't look like old Delaware State. They came out, all of them, socks the same, uniforms the same. They look like they've been coached. They organized. His thing is to get the talent. And I like that. That means a guy's paying attention to details. And when you pay attention to details in a team grouping, that's important, because we're all on the same page. I like the 17 points against the University of Delaware.
Yeah.
Coming out the first game. So it's very impressive, man. I want to give him an A, even though I know the object is to win the football game. But Delaware State been a perennial program, but they didn't look like it that night.
Yeah.
So I look for some different things about Delaware State that's coming, if not this year, down the line.
Okay. All right. And Vic with Norfolk?
Michael Vick, I just wasn't impressed at all. Uniforms, they look ragtag. The details weren't there. I seen an undisciplined team. I seen some athletes though.
Okay.
He got some players. I think he got some players. I think that quarterback was impressive. It looked like he got some speed, not just only in the backfield, but at those wide receivers. I think he's got to bring that team together a little more, put everybody on the same page. Get some discipline, on starts and stances and how to line up and fits. What I mean by fits is when you run up to make a tackle, depends on where you are. You always want to force him inside to everybody else. Just don't run up and get square, hit square. You never, a defensive guy never supposed to do that. I've seen defensive linemen stand straight up, instead of trying to get gaps. That's the only way you can stop the zone. You got to get penetration. So I think he got a lot of work. I think you've seen a coach over at Townsend State, and to a guy that's just trying to find his way. But again, he's a first year coach. If you've been in this game and know this game, you're not surprised from the output of the turnout of his first game.
Okay. Yeah. Good analysis. Coach, I got to put you on the line like Ralph Cooper would do to you. Who you got in the Labor Day Classic?
I knew you was going to ask that question. My heart and blood bleed maroon and gray. Of course,
now put on the maroon for you today, man.
Coach Jackson. I got the ring on. The only one we ever won. Coach Jackson is my guy. He was my go-to guy. Look, man, if I turned around too fast, I might have kissed him in the mouth. He used to be so close. I believe Moon Gray. I'm gonna be a winner out of this one anywhere it goes. If Texas Southern win, them my guys. If Prairie View win, that's my guy.
Gotcha.
I gotta go with Tremaine Jackson. I'm going with the coach.
And just, I know it's about X's and O's with you. Is it just about that, the football side?
I think the advantage of the experience. He got some guys that he's been working with for almost over 10 years. You know, defense coordinator, offense coordinator, special team coach, guys that he's been working with. So it ain't so much of the players, but it's so much of his program. You know, one thing you can say about Nick Saban, he lost coaches every year, but he won national championships every year. So it ain't about the players per se. It ain't about coaches. It's about the system. It's about the program. And I believe that. I believe programs beat talent year in and year out. But I don't want to count Texas Southern back out. They got their quarterback back. But the only thing about it, he broke his ankle and he really didn't get to play. He played good against Prairie View last year, but he didn't play much after that. So, the question mark is still out for him. And but I look for a brilliant game, man. You need to get your ticket on that one.
Yeah. Be there or be square, right?
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, I won't get to come. My best friend of over 40 years, my college roommate, man. I want to reach out and say happy birthday to him, Rudy Johnson,
okay.
Rudy Alister Johnson. So I'm out here in LA, man, and go enjoy myself with him tonight, and really gonna miss the
Well,
game.
enjoy yourself, Coach. You're going to be missed in the booth because just to hear your laughter and your perspective on the game is going to be missed. But we'll catch up with you later. Will you be on any of the HBCU Go telecasts again this season?
Well, hey, look, they put me up. They put me up in the reserve spot, Coach.
Okay.
So I'm in the cage. I'm ready.
You're waiting.
Bring me out, man. But I want to give shout out to them, man. They actually checked off, one of my bucket lists, man, to be an analyst in this conference, this wonderful conference. And I want to thank you, Mosey, for always, man, continue not to forget about old Johnnie Cole and give me an opportunity to just talk football sometime.
You guys do a great job. You and Rocky especially you guys bring in the coaches, the major HBCU coaches, and you have them front and center asking the tough questions. And look, keep going, doing what you guys doing with the Coach's Corner.
Yeah, it's the HBCU Coach's Corner. And I like to say to our viewers, we had over 2 million views last year.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations.
Yeah, we on Roku, we on Fire Stick, we on YouTube, we on Scotty's channels, and we on Rocky Miller's channel. So, we're doing a fabulous job. We just want to make sure that you guys subscribe and share and share your page, share the HBCULegendPage.net. Hey man, we gotta get out there and make sure people understand that we got great people in this conference and great coaches and great players as well.
All right. Yeah, definitely, man. I'm excited. I think this is going to be a banner year for not only the SWAC, the MEAC, but also the SIAC and the CIAA. Yeah. They got some great games going on this weekend coming up. So, guys, tune in, be there. And if you're here in the Houston area, get your ticket. Go down to Shell Energy Stadium for 7 o'clock tomorrow night to witness one of the best games I believe is going to be played in our conference in week 1. All right.
All
right, Coach. Take care and have fun out there in Cali.
Yes, I will.
Okay, that's the coach, Johnnie Cole. I'm Kyle T. Mosley, HBCU Legends. You can follow us at HBCU Legends on Sports Illustrated. And you can also follow me at KTMOZE and at KTMOZE on all of those social media platforms. Coach Cole, take care, man. Have fun.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
HBCU Legends fans, it's Kyle T. Mosley here with a special one. This guy, he covers the FCS, but he also covers HBCUs, and he does this in such a great way. He's one of the more talented writers out there we have in the marketplace. and you know him from the Blue Bloods back in the day. Now he's with FCS Central as well. It's none other than Zach Mckinnell. What's going on, Zach? How you feeling, man?
Man, feeling great. Listen, I've been waiting for this for a long time, Kyle. Man, me and you, we work together with the On SI network, and man, I'm a big fan of your site. I know our site collaborates on a lot of stuff. We cover a lot of the same players and teams and events, man. So I have a lot of respect for you. We've got to chop it up at Media Day a little bit. So
Yeah.
again, man, I really appreciate the invite.
You know, it's so crazy because when we are a part of the affiliate network, right? But we like, I'm like, why haven't we talked more? Like, that's the thing. And then we see you at events and stuff. That's why, hey, Zach, and like, but you know, we go on. It's crazy, man. But now we're here. Look, it's football. It's football, and we've been waiting for this for such a long time. I know I have. And Zach, I have a feeling this is going to be one of those electric years for football, especially in the HBCU world. What's your feelings?
Man, I'm so excited. There's so many storylines that we could talk about where we have the PV hype, right? With Tremaine Jackson coming in, and he has been very vocal about what he plans to do with PV. And I think it's really good for one of those Texas schools to be good. You have the Jackson State storyline. Can we finally get a back-to-back Celebration Bowl winner that's not North Carolina A&T? You have Trey Oliver, North Carolina Central, who came in with a lot of hype. And then, of course, and Michael Vick, Deshaun Jackson experiments at Delaware State and Norfolk State, adding to already such an interesting storyline in the MEAC. And then on top of that, too, man, a real late addition here, Reggie Barlow. Look at that coaching staff and all the with Greg Williams and all the big names he added. He goes and steals Edward Waters' coach right before the season to bring onto the staff.
Yeah.
They have a big flip there. They get, I believe it was Carson Palmer's son, or quarterback. What do they look like this year after an amazing playoff run where they really could have beaten Montana if they just would not punt to Junior Bergen? So, man, the storylines are really endless, and I literally cannot wait for this season. I'm glad we've got an appetizer week 0. We had an even smaller appetizer last night, man, but we're less than 24 hours away from getting the full plate, man, and get to see all these teams hit the field.
Man, you said a mouthful, Zach. I mean, Reggie Barlow, when he told me that Greg Williams is coming on board, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? And to also have Shannon Harris to come on board with him, as well as a couple other guys from his staff, that is very important. And I was talking to Coach Johnnie Cole earlier, and he was saying, Kyle, the fact that Tremaine Jackson is being able to have guys with him that's been with him and they know each other for over 10 years, that stability according to the coaching staff and understanding the system that these guys bring in place, that is more telling than the players and the coaches right now, just being able to make sure you have a whole staff that knows one another so well. So I expect big things from Tennessee State. And it's such a shame that Tennessee State can't play in that Celebration Bowl. That's what I keep on looking at. That could be one of those pivotal games. We need to have call the commissioner and say, hey, can we get an extra game out here? So
yeah, imagine them playing in it last year, because I think that Jackson Tennessee State game last year, especially with the trench play that Tennessee State had. Man, Brandon Fisher had that defense playing at a really, really high level, and we saw what Draylon Ellis' ceiling really could be against that Montana defense. That Jackson Tennessee State game would have been amazing. Maybe we should, find a way to get the money right for the Southern Heritage Classic, because I don't know about you, but for me, that's a game we got to find a way to play Tennessee State Jackson at least every other year.
Man, that's a great point. Great point. Bring them back, and so they can be able to battle it out. I know Coach Prime, I think he was the one who disbanded that, right? He didn't want that any longer. So, but moving forward, here we are. We're at week 1. Of course, last week we saw Southern fall to NCCU, which you predicted NCCU, I think it was 30-17, something like that. You predicted, so you kind of 1 point off there. I predicted the upset, but I only did it because I have Jaguar in my blood. But I knew that Trey Oliver was the better coach and had the better coaching staff. And guys, moving forward, you're going to have to look at the coaching staffs as well. I tell everybody, look at the quarterback, look at the coaching staffs, then you can kind of get a good feel how your team is going to roll. What are some keys that, if you were talking to the average fan, Zach, that would help them predict or understand where their team would be during this whole season?
Oh man. And I don't expect everyone to do what we do, man, because Kyle, we have an entire spreadsheet with a tab for every single conference and every single team in the FCS.
Yeah.
And we have every single player that's returning that played over 100 snaps listed with their PFF grade, linked to their profile, stats. Like, we have the whole database built out, and we start building this thing about February. And then as transfers leave, we take names off, we move names around, and then we have another spreadsheet with all the FCS, all the Division I transfers and their PFF grade, their
I don't know how
stats.
you keep that straight with the FCS included, man.
We
That's a lot.
we try, and then even the big thing I do, like, come like July-ish, is look for like D2, D3 guys that transfer up that could be big time contributors. Like, I look at like an Isaiah Freeman going to Hampton, probably going to be the starting quarterback there, was a stud down at Lincoln at the Division II level. Going to be very curious to see how he plays for Hampton. So I would think this, like, we weight a lot of returning significant contributors. So we define that as players that played over 200 snaps.
Okay.
And I'll look at not just how many significant contributors you have returning, but where are they returning at? Because there's certain positions that are really key when you do that. I look at quarterback, I look at offensive line, and I look at interior defensive line. Because let's just be honest, and this is no offense to any running backs who are listening, it's way easier to replace a running back than a starting right tackle. At the end of the day, history tells us that.
Left tackle as well.
Yes.
Sean Payton himself said that it's in the trenches. That's how he built the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. So we look at roster configuration, returning significant contributors, and also too coaching turnover. And I think the big thing I look at with coaching turnover is, where were they previously? What coaching tree did they come from? And if they were a head coach previously, how quickly have they been able to establish success somewhere? Was the success already established? Like, did they step into a winning program and just got to build off the back of whoever was there beforehand? Or did they come into a program that wasn't very good and they built that program up to springboard them into whatever job they're getting into?
Yeah.
Then on top, like, this is the big debate we have on our platform is, if you weren't good last year, like, let's just say you weren't a good defense, Kyle, is it good that you're returning 11 players from that defense?
Good point.
So we try to balance that out, but we look at, man, if I'll say this, if it was your defense, Kyle, and you had 10 players coming back, but they were all freshmen and sophomore, the history tells us that defense probably is going to be pretty good next year because all those guys are going to continue to grow up. But if you got a bunch of fifth-year seniors and juniors who have had a bunch of playing experience and they're just still not good, odds are, man, that defense might just not be very good. And so we look at all this data, but for fans, I would really, I know it's hard for fans, man, because every time you look up, Kyle, there's another guy in the portal.
Yeah,
you're a freshman. And then the bad part is they go up to FBS and they're sitting on the bench behind a player you got recruited out of high school. I'll say this, I think for me, it's correlated really well to look at significant contributors along with, especially, I would say, coaching continuity is a big thing for me too. Like, you look at Trey Oliver's staff, Kyle, I don't understand how it, and let your Southern pride aside, outside of the Southern fans, I talked to Josh about this, who he was going to pick NCCU regardless as well. But I just, looking at the film and the returning talent, man, you had Trey Oliver, Matt Leone, Walker Harris, all 5 starting offensive linemen. Chris Mosley, even though he was the backup, averaged 11 yards per carry last year, and the defense returned like 8 or 9 starters. How did no one see that coming?
But also remember, he did have some turnover. He did change a coordinator as well, right? I think people, when they look at that Southern matchup, there was no major changes other than Totten leaving the Southern coaching staff, right? But what was concerning to me, and I told this to Dr. Cavill, I don't know why HBCU coaches play this game. You don't know, or you can't designate a starting quarterback, you got a problem. You have a problem. And you should always know who your starting quarterbacks are. And the issue of not and Zach, man, come on. Let's be for real. If you are a starting quarterback and you know that's your teammate and he's not at the bus, he ain't dressed, you don't see him around, where's the teammate? Where's the unity there? Why didn't those guys help get him out and onto the bus? That speaks to the culture, right?
As an offensive lineman, that's what I played. We would have sent a third string offensive lineman and made him flatten a tire on the bus before we left without our starting quarterback. Like there's like someone else is getting cut and suspended before we let our starting quarterback miss the meeting or miss the bus or anything like. And yes, as a starting quarterback, you need to have the responsibility taken upon your shoulders to be there, right? You should be the guy going to get your teammates who may be late, but as an offensive lineman, man, our job is to protect the quarterback and do everything I can to make sure our quarterback's successful. Somebody had to have known he overslept, right? Who was his roommate?
They did.
Yeah, like who's his roommate? Why didn't anyone knock on the door while they were leaving to make sure he was leaving with them? And how long did it take at the bus to figure out where this kid was?
Now, don't look, but Zach, let's be for real again. Why would any roommate leave your roommate? Why any offensive lineman would leave anybody? Now, his positional guy, you battling for a position. Maybe I'm not going to tell this guy to get up, whatever. You can't blame Mr. McCoy on that one. But it just was odd for me that in the team aspect, you don't make sure your starting quarterback is anywhere around. Now, do they like the kid? Do they care about the kid? Does he rub somebody the wrong way or something to that nature? What's going on in that locker room? That was more of a telling sign that I think Southern may have some struggles unless Coach Graves is able to address this.
Yeah, and at the same time, too, I think there were, like, when I look at Central's team coming from last year, right, because you mentioned there were a little bit of coaching changes, but they played well last year. They ranked top 20 nationally in yards per play, defensively and offensively. They had all this returning talent. At the end of the day, yes, you replace a DC, but you bring in a guy who has some ties to the other coaches there. It wasn't like this big overhaul at every position. And also, too, with Southern, the major concerns, like, yes, they brought in more size on the interior, but it was like none of those guys could move well. And I think that the big thing, too, is it's really hard for fans, especially, right, to evaluate transfers, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people in the media that can't evaluate talent. I'm just going to put it out there. It's not just fans. There's some media that piggyback on media that really spends time watching film. They're like, oh, well, I knew that. It's like, yeah, but you've never you've never bet on a player before. Like, I've never heard you really defend a player and say, I think he's going to be good because of this, this, and this. You just regurgitate other stuff. You really got to go watch the film of some of these kids, man. Like, and just because he might be 6'8", 340, man, don't mean he can block a soul at offensive tackle. I've seen a lot of big offensive linemen not be able to move. And I think you saw that with some of the interior defensive line talent Southern brought in. Man, they were just slow. And they were trying to be creative with stunts and pressures, and man, they were just moving at half speed. And when you have an offensive line that returns 5 starters, it's just an impossible matchup. And I think Kelby Givens he didn't play his best game, and it happens. He got pancaked 5 times, but man, Kyle, like, I bet you he was looking around like, can I get some help? Like, can anybody help me here, or is it just me? And I really think he felt like that.
Well, was it also the case that they had him out of position, his normal position?
Yes.
They were trying to pit him against that huge offensive right tackle, man. But if you look at the size difference as well, was Kelby really going to be that effective?
I'll say this. In defense of Kelby, yes, he was a bit undersized, but if you're going to be a top NFL prospect, man, you got to go make plays against.
You got to find a way.
Listen, because at the end of the day, Trent Williams isn't taking himself out the game at the NFL if Kelby makes it like, hey, we got to let Kelby eat. You got to find a way. You got to find a way to make a play. And I'll give him props. Over the past 2 years, he's made plays. Like, you remember that Jackson game in the SWAC championship last year? Man, neither offensive tackle wanted any more of him after that game.
Yeah. Well, let's just say Mr. Givens had an off game,
Yes,
and playing against NCCU, that could always be the case, right? And look, Coach Oliver made it really plain and clear. We schemed for him, so we
you
put some
have
things
to.
in place.
You
So
got to.
yeah, you have to respect the player. All right, let's move on to this week, man. Let's talk about yesterday's game debut for Michael Vick as well as Deshaun Jackson. Uh, I, I went through the transcripts, listened to the media exchanges and everything else. I thought Deshaun Jackson had a more insightful understanding of his team, the way they performed as well. I know there are a lot of things he needs to clean up and be able to tweak. And he had an injury with the quarterback and everything, but I was very pleased in what I saw with Delaware State. What are your initial impressions?
Yeah, I was actually very impressed with Delaware State because they really had a chance to win if it wasn't for the penalties. Like, man, they just got to be more disciplined. At the end of the day, I'm looking here, 13 penalties for 109 yards. It's just never going to get it done, especially against an in-conference rival / FBS team
Yeah.
that's playing at home. You cannot have 100 plus yards of penalty. That's a free touchdown. At the end of the day, that's 100 yards. That counts as 7. And they had a chance to potentially win at especially at halftime, right? I mean, they were playing well, but then at the same time, and they just like you said, they every time they had a chance, they shoot themselves in the foot. Bad interceptions, 2 of them. But I'll say this, man, Marquise Gillis is legit. I
Yeah.
was really impressed with their ability to run the football. Ran for 200 yards, averaged almost 5 yards per carry as a team. Marquise averaged 7 yards per carry against an FBS defense that's pretty good. And I'll say this, I like how their defense hits, man. They get to the ball and they're looking to punish the ball carrier. They had some impressive hits, but at the same time, I think you saw that this is a team that is not used to winning. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, Kyle, but a team has to learn how to win. And we kind of saw that. We're about to get to Norfolk. We saw that under Odom's. Norfolk didn't know how to win, and it cost them a lot in close games. And you even saw when Delaware State was making it interesting early, they would just make a mistake or take a step in the wrong direction, and it would cost them big time. And I will say this, I really like what Caden Bennett showed athletically. He's just got to be a better decision maker. And I was telling people when he transferred in at Sac State, he would have these really high of highs, but then he would have the really low of lows, and it was kind of like a swing, and he could never really get his consistency. That's going to be the key. But I don't know about you, but I feel really good about this team pushing a handful of teams in the MEAC and maybe stealing a game or two if they play up to their potential. But I was really impressed with their rushing attack.
Yeah, look, I think you said the young man, he had 130 yards on the ground, right?
Yes.
But if you can have a rushing attack that can help a struggling quarterback at times, right? And just to be able to pay attention to the details. And I think that's what Coach Jackson was focusing on in his presser, talking about the details and how we need to go back and get this right. Coach Cole brought up a interesting point. He said, Kyle, when I looked at, he said, just from an overall point of view as a coach, he said the Hornets looked like a team. Norfolk State didn't look like they had it together. He said even the way their uniforms were, he said it just didn't seem on, And I was like, wow. He said those are details. Those are things that real coaches pay attention to, how my guys are uniformed across the board, how we look, how we play, how the attitude, all that has to be a part of it. And he said he believes that Vic is going to struggle this season, and he likes what he saw from Jackson. And I do as well, as well as most people. So we'll see how things play along, right? But one team, I don't know what's going to happen with this team, Zach. Alcorn. That was bad.
Yeah. It's so
That's
tough to
all I can
watch
say. That
too.
was bad.
It's so tough to watch too, because obviously my co-host being the assistant head coach down there at Alcorn, it's a little bit. And I've talked to him today, and he's in good spirits, man. He said he said it's game one. We might have looked really bad, but it's game one,
But
and we'll
that's
work
the
on stuff.
Northwestern, right?
Yeah, that's still tough, man. And like you said, I mean, I think what gets lost in it is because it is such a bad loss. You lose to a team that hasn't won a game in over 1,000 days. It's been since 2022. They had a 20-game losing streak, and the 20 games is skipping the games that they had to forfeit when they had to end their season after the tragic murder of a player.
Right.
And this was a team that I think they were playing like 70 freshmen and slash true sophomores, if I'm not mistaken, what the broadcast said. This was a team that we predicted dead last in the Southland, tying with a school that just started football for the first time ever in UTRGV.
Wow.
Like, that's how bad we thought this team was going to be. But I'll say this. I do think what got overlooked in this was how good of a coach Blaine McCorkle is. He is a hell of a coach, man. And I do think he's building something at Northwestern State. It's just one of those things where this was an impossible job. And just between us, talking to some people I know, there were a lot of coaches that turned it down just because of the difficulty, because they didn't want that. Everyone knew that first year you could have went and hired Nick
Couldn't
Saban.
win. Yeah.
They weren't going to win year one.
Yeah.
And Blaine took it on, and man, I thought he did a heck of a job turning this program around. And you saw the passion from the players, right? And the coaching staff and the fans storming the field. Like, there was a lot that went right for Northwestern State. But I'll say this: Alcorn outgained them. Alcorn's defense. Go ahead.
No. They did outgain them, but I guess one stat line that was a concern of mine was the 40 passes, and you did not really have over 200 yards, right?
Yeah. Wide receivers, though, man. Did you see how many drops they had? I talked to a few people on the staff today. They said, man, we went back and watched the film, and I don't think the drops were even counted correctly. They were like, this kid probably completes 55-60% of his passes if they just catch the balls that were supposed to be caught. And that's not even including some of the 50-50 ones that he made. Overthrew it a little bit, right? And you just have to make a good catch to get it. The wide receivers were just bad. And then also there were some bad decisions where he thought he could fit it in to some spots that he just didn't have the ability to. I mean, when you throw 2 interceptions in the end zone to the same guy, man, it's just, you can't win like that on the road, in the rain, a bunch of new guys. It was just not great. And then defensively, man, I just think they wore down toward the end. You kind of saw the frustration build up a little bit. But I'll be very curious to see how Alcorn bounces back, because you look ahead, there's not a ton of gimmies on the schedule, man, and they're going to have some really, really tough games coming up. They're going to have to find their offensive identity, man, because I don't know about you. To me, it felt like they would try something for a drive or two. It wouldn't work. They would completely shift their identity and try something else, and it didn't work, and they just kept fluff. You got to find your offensive identity.
Zach, that's been a problem since last season.
Yep.
They had that same issue last season. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to go on record and saying this. I think most HBCU coaches, offensive coordinators have this same problem. When something gets off track, they lose their strategy. Look, I don't care what you said, and I heard Coach Graves talk about Southern. Oh, no, we still have the same strategy. No, you didn't. Mark Frederick got off track, guys, and I'm just let me digress. I'm not going to say anymore, but
it was a bad loss, man.
It's a bad loss. Whenever you have players from your team jumping up and high-fiving other people
on video
that you just lost to, tell me something is not wrong there within the locker room as well. Zach, please help me.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I don't care if I saw some people defending it like, oh, they probably played in high school together, or they did this. I don't care. As a coach, you can't play for me if we're celebrating after losing to Northwestern State.
If you celebrating after a loss, a really hard loss, man. And
just go give them a hug. Go dap them up, give them a hug, tell them good luck.
See you outside.
Yeah. Bro, you cannot be on the ESPN cameras jumping and high-fiving and chest bumping and celebrating. It can't happen.
That was bad altogether. You know what was disheartening? I think personally, Coach McNair, he made a decision, but I think he should have been over at Texas Southern. The way it played out, if it wasn't for a few trustees, right? But I think also, could they go back to Coach McNair if things don't go well? Does he want to go back to that situation? That's another question as well, because the McNairs are really ingrained in that area. So, what are your quick thoughts there?
Probably. I think if McNair wants to come back, there could be some reconciliation there. But I'll be honest, there's two names I think of before him. One's Quinn at Jackson State, the defensive coordinator, and the other is Shannon Harris at Tennessee State.
Yeah,
I think those are the two calls I'm making even before calling Fred McNair. They need some energy in the
those
program.
are two good names.
They both have ties to Alcorn. They both
Yeah.
are on championship staffs. Both are young, will bring the energy into the program, because I feel like this is a program that if you do make a move, you're going to need a jolt of energy to bring this program back. And that's going to be the thing. Something needs to spark the fan base. Both of those guys, I've heard them talk. They're both super talented at what they do, man. Look at what
Right.
Quinn's done with that Jackson defense and what he was doing at Alcorn, right? Because he was kind of the right-hand man there with the defense, even with said.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, too, man, what do we really need to say anything about Shannon Harris and what he just did in the UFL? So,
hey, you win a professional title. Yeah, you need to be considered for a job somewhere.
Yes.
So good point. Let's talk about Mr. Body, man, Andrew Body. Look, I love Andrew. Number one. I knew, I mean, if you see my promo, I put the promo out there with Alabama State because I just had that feeling something was going to happen, big. And to know where he's come from, the multiple surgeries, as well as the rehabilitation and everything else, Andrew has done a great job to just get to this point. Staying healthy and keeping him healthy. Looks like that offensive line, I was very, very surprised, Zach, and you're a lineman. Those guys hung in there pretty good. Talk about how they can help keep Andrew upright and help the offense to be successful this season.
Man, I was so, like you said, I was just so happy to see Andrew put together that performance, man. I really was. And I was so impressed with the overall offensive scheme, man. Like, this is a team, and let's be honest, Kyle, they have not played super well. You talk about trying to find the offensive identity during the season or in the game. Alabama State did a lot of that the past, I don't even think 2 years, right? Probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, ever since Robinson was there, they still hadn't been able to find that groove offensively.
Yeah, I thought Holtzclaw played well at running back as well. And then I think the biggest thing was, man, we got some wide receivers. When's the last time Alabama State has had some receivers that are notable and worth mentioning on shows like this?
Yeah.
Jalen Jones played outstanding. Harrell played outstanding. Asa Gregg played outstanding. And you mentioned the offensive line. Outside, there were a few times the offensive line broke down, but let's just be honest. That's why you recruit a player like Andrew Body, because he can bail you out on plays that the offensive line breaks down. And, man, we saw it over and over and over. And, man, you talk about Andrew, 119 rushing yards, 312 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, only missed, I think, 6 passes. He was like 18 of 24, 23,
75%.
Man, come on.
Right there. That's just 75%. That's all we need to know. 18 of 23, right? But the announcer looked at it, and I looked at it as well, is the way he was stepping into those throws.
Yep.
He
had it on a rope. That one touchdown pass over the middle, I think it was on the 3rd and 11. It was like a 3rd or 11, 3rd or 14, man. And he threw it on a rope out there. And the wide receiver was open, but he put it in a spot. And then the touchdown pass where he rolled out of the pocket and threw it up the sideline.
That's right.
The guy drug his, man, come on, man.
And he was going to the left.
You don't make that throw unless you are a high level athlete. And I'm just going to say this, and I hated this so much. And maybe this is a little bit of a rant. I'm sorry, your platform is where I have to
No,
do it
man,
at.
go
But
on. You got it.
there were so many people, and this is why I love it for him, because everyone knows I have a relationship with him, his family, and I'm a big fan of Andrew. I've been since he signed. Man, there were so many people saying he hasn't proven anything, that he was overrated, that he wasn't that talented. Man, this kid holds the single season record for total offense in Texas Southern history. He's like third or fourth in passing yards in the season. He didn't even play the whole year. This kid has done it in the SWAC. They were one game away from making the SWAC championship with Andrew, and he got hurt. And that's the only reason they lost that game against Alabama A&M. The kid's proven it, and you finally see what it can be like when he's fully healthy. And it feels so good. And man, you can't tell me watching the film and I know it's just one sample size, but you add for what he did at Texas Southern and how he's grown as a player over the past 2 years as he's tried to overcome injury. Man, this kid is one of the most electric players we have, not just in HBCU football, Kyle, in FCS football. And if he lives up to the ceiling that we saw on Thursday night, I don't think we're just talking SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, Kyle. We're talking like Walter Payton level.
Thank you.
Like Walter Payton Award level talent, and also FCS All-American talent. That's what he can be if he puts a full season of what we saw on Thursday night together.
Zach, I was saying the same thing. Coach Cole and I I feel like I'm echoing, just hearing you say the same thing. Look, Andrew Body, guys, and this comes from history. Think about the SWAC history. The last major dynamic guy we had at quarterback. Well, the major guy at quarterback was Shador, right? Then we had before him Bruce Eugene. We had Aquil Glass, right? But Aquil, he wasn't as mobile, right? Even Bruce Eugene with his size, he can get off some guys and kind of make some things happen back in the day. But doesn't he remind you a little tinge of Steve Air McNair?
Or even like a little bit of like a Kincaid with like his ability to get out of the pocket and make those downfield throws. I'll say this, and I was talking to another coach who called me about his performance. I don't know if people realize this. So on the 60-yard touchdown run, the first one, when he broke and that safety was coming after him, there was a time where I was like, man, Andrew, why are you jogging? Like, get out of there. He's going to catch you. And it just seemed like he was pulling away. And it didn't look like he was running 100%. And that's when you could tell the athlete's different, man. There's only certain level of athletes that look like they're not exerting the effort that they really are.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, he made it look easy at times.
Well, let's look at that play, man. Let's take a quick look at that play, because for me, I lost it. Right there, what you say, it just looked like he was in a different speed and everybody else was trying to catch up. That's what Michael Vick used to do people as well.
It looked like he was in third gear.
Oh my God. I think, man.
And what a block too. I think it was 73. Yeah, man, he got that linebacker up out of there. And it was such a good job.
The other 60-yarder he had that was called back. You saw how patient he was with the blocking as well, man.
Yes.
That's like what Alvin Kamara used to do with the Saints, just let the guys set up the blockers and he just like kind of cruising like, hey, whatever. I'm just back here. I'm about to score, So, yeah, it was some great stuff to see from Andrew, man. But I think when you look at Body, Eddie Robinson, I think Coach Robinson needed to have him start last year, and that was just my opinion and not share with O'Brien. If it wasn't for that injury that he sustained in the Orange Blossom Classic, there was a good chance he was going to bring them back to win that game as well. So he has the ability, and I think I've seen him from just as a freshman at Texas Southern, he's matured not only in the game, but he's matured. And that's his one thing that's going to really be crucial to have him, because Andrew really is a senior, and he's been under center He knows how to snap, get the snaps, and be able to make the plays. And I have to agree with you. We could be looking at the Player of the Year for all FCS if he keeps this up.
Yeah, that's the ceiling for it. And I mean, I'm just hoping he can stay healthy and that they let him do what he did last night, man, because you could tell Barnett took a step back.
Let him do what he needs to do.
Just play. Just be yourself. Don't and they did try to fit him in this box where they just ran him 100 times. Like, let him run when things break down. And I thought it was a great call early in that touchdown we just watched. A great call there, great blocking. I mean, the kid can also throw. You don't throw for 300 yards. Like, and I get it. I see all the social media talk. Oh, it's UAB, and they're this and they're that, bro. I don't
but
care.
That's FBS,
like,
right? What was going to be the argument if they had interceptions and stuff against them?
Exactly. That's my thing. And also too, it's just if any other quarterback in the SWAC did that, man, no one's going to complain about praising that guy. And we haven't seen a guy account for almost 500 total yards against an FBS opponent. I don't remember the last time that happened in the SWAC.
Yeah. I'm going to have to check. I think McNair kind of had something close to that once before, but yeah, I'll have to check.
Like, exclude him, like normal people in the SWAC, because like McNair is like in a different realm for me, man.
Well, Travaris Jackson used to have some good games for Alabama State.
Yeah. I wonder what Kincaid's stat line would be when they almost, was it Arizona they almost knocked off?
Yeah.
And like late. They had a really good game.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah. Man. Wow. Good stuff, man. Let's talk about what's going to happen this weekend then. All right. The reigning champs, they're taking on the Pirates of Hampton. If they're coming across the Mississippi, well, not too far across. They're not even reaching the Mississippi River, but they're coming this way, right? And I can't believe Jackson State has never defeated the Pirates. It's their 3-0 in historically, but this is a different Jackson State team, right, Zach?
Yeah, very different. I'm still super high on Jackson. I know we just talked so much about Andrew. Man, that Jackson Alabama State game is going to be so good because I think Andrew showed that he's the best quarterback in the conference. But man, Jackson's team might probably still, in my opinion, still the best team.
Too talented
in the conference. They're so good everywhere, man. The offensive line's experience. Jacoby and Morgan's back. You have Travis Terrell, who's probably the most versatile weapon in the SWAC and what he brings on the special teams. And then also defensively, man, they check so many boxes. When you look at the linebacking core coming back, Jeremiah Williams at defensive tackle, John Brown coming back at edge. Listen, I got to talk to Hampton's head coach this offseason, man. I'm a big fan of what he's building, but man, I just think this Jackson team's different. And you get them at home. That stadium's going to be rocking. They're coming off an HBCU national championship. I just find it hard to see Hampton hanging in here, man. I think it might be close early, Kyle, but I like Jackson to win this one by multiple scores.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that one, man, because when you look at Jackson and what they have coming out the gate, the guys getting their rings, getting the praise, getting they can't hang a banner at the vet, but they're getting the love from the people. You know, it's going to be over 40-something thousand people packing the vet. So I think it's going to be a great atmosphere. But guys, if that band starts firing up JSU Rock You, you know it's over. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Pirate fans, don't be surprised if you hear a lot of JSU Rock You. All right. Any other special games that you're featuring that's on your radar? And we're going to talk about the Labor Day Classic, but other than the Labor Day Classic.
I was about to say, how are we leaving the Labor Day Classic?
No, we weren't getting off
after the trash talk, man. I am tuned in, man. They could play the FCS National Championship on Saturday. It's not going up over the Labor Day Classic, man. I'm so excited for that one. But I'll say this: I think the game, and we previewed it on the site, is North Carolina Central, New Hampshire. I'm extremely excited about that game. The battle of the Durhams, between Durham, North Carolina, and Durham, New Hampshire. But I think this is a big statement win for North Carolina Central. If they win this game like I think they could, and that's in dominant fashion, you get a win over Southern, the SWAC West preseason champs. They were voted the favorite to get back to the SWAC championship, and you get a CAA win on your resume from a team that made the playoffs last year.
Wow.
Man, what momentum is Central going to have going? And then I don't think Old Dominion is an unwinnable FBS game. And so you're probably staring at a real good chance to get the 10-11 wins, potentially, if you're North Carolina Central. And I'm very, very high on this team. I think Chris Mosley is a potential superstar. I
And
love
he has a great last name.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'll say this too. New Hampshire's offense ranked 116th nationally last year in yards per play offensively. I think Central's defense is really going to take advantage here. They'll have a new starting quarterback in New Hampshire, so maybe that changes. But I think North Carolina Central makes a statement, man. Then I guess one that I'm also kind of watching is Wofford, South Carolina State. South Carolina State has so many questions. I heard they're probably going with the kid from James Madison at quarterback from what I'm hearing, but you still got Stubblefield there as well. They have so much they're replacing defensively, though, Kyle, that I'm very interested to see how they look against a Wofford team that they should be more talented than on paper. And if that can translate into another big out-of-conference win, because you got to give Barry credit. He had some big wins last year. Tennessee Tech was a massive win for them last year.
Yes,
and now you get one over Wofford, too. The MEAC, man, getting these big out of conference wins, and that's the next step for the SWAC. But the MEAC has two really good chances this upcoming weekend.
Coach Chillisberry.
Yeah, he gets me so fired up, man. He gets me so fired up.
You're like, okay, coach. Yes, it is. Yeah, 1-0, Mosley. 1-0. Okay, all right, got you, coach. The Bison are taking on the Rattlers at the Orange Blossom Classic. I give the edge to the Rattlers in this one. I love everything what I hear when I had the interview with Coach Scott earlier this offseason. They have some really good studs coming back, and he's pretty confident in his team. So, and he's returning his quarterback as well. So that might be a very close game, a very competitive game. I know there's some question marks about the Rattlers right now. How do you see it?
I'll be honest. I was a little bit higher on FAMU when I thought they were going to start the right quarterback, but a little interested in their quarterback choice. So we're going to see. I'm a skeptic, and they're going to have to prove me wrong. But to be fair, I was a skeptic about Daniel Richardson too, and he proved me wrong pretty early last year. So I admit when I'm wrong, and man, he came out and balled, especially in the first part of the season. But I really thought the JUCO kid, Jet Petty, was going to be the guy there. I'm really high based on his film. I just think he's a different level of passer that I think FAMU's had in a little while. So we'll see with I believe it's RJ Johnson is the guy, or RJ, that's going to be the starter there for FAM. But Howard, I still question offensively, man. It's a team that had so much talent at running back, but could not run the ball last year. And it was just mind-blowing to me. You have Eden James, and you can't find a way to establish the run. It just made no sense to me. I think for Scroggins and or possibly Tyreek Starks, who transferred in, could make a push for that starting quarterback job too. Can those guys take a step forward as an overall passer? I think Scroggins showed some athletic ability, but a little inconsistent as a passer, and Noah Miles can wreck a game from the edge. Man, I'm really, really high on him for Howard.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. I am still leaning FAMU. I think they get it done. I'm a little bit lower on Howard than a lot of people are, so I do think FAMU gets it done down in Miami.
Okay. Tennessee State will be hosting or battling against the Aggies of North Carolina A&T. Sean Gibbs. Barlow. This is a big one, in my opinion.
Must win.
Both of those guys have to be able to come in there and punctuate this game with their own, say, yeah, I did it. See, I told you. What's your thoughts? How will this one really go down in Nashville?
You know, it's tough because me and you really can't even chop it up about players because they're all new, like on both sides of the football for both these teams. I mean, they just revamped the roster, especially Tennessee State, man. They have a bunch of new faces at a bunch of different positions, and they just recently lost Kamani Cobbs to the portal too, who is probably getting slated to be their starting corner. So I'm gonna lean Tennessee State here because one, they're at home, and two, I just have a little bit more faith in the coaching staff. And I think Tennessee State, despite all the roster turnover, is not the same level of rebuild that we're going to have to see at A&T. A&T was just bad. And so you have to find a way to get that talent out of there and get in at least the talent you want to keep, coach it up and teach those guys how to win. Tennessee State already has a winning culture. The staff that got brought in has a winning culture and a winning pedigree about them. I think Tennessee State wins a close one, but this is a kind of a must win for both of these because you look ahead on the schedule, there might not be a ton of W's on either one. I mean, North Dakota State comes to town next week for Tennessee State. Got to get the win while you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's start the season off right before the beatdown, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Southern going to play down in the Delta against Terrell Buckley. He's making his debut as coach. I'm pretty much know it has to be the Jaguars, right, Zach?
Yeah, listen, I know how bad they looked last week against North Carolina Central. Unless Trey Oliver and Walker Harris transferred to Itabena without my knowledge this past week, I think Southern's going to be just fine, man. I'm not a believer in the Valley hype, which we get every year. Buckley I think is a really, really good coach, though. Give him maybe a few years to maybe be a little dark horse sleeper, but not this year, man. I think it's going to be a long year for Valley. Give me Southern big.
Yeah. Now, both of these guys are playing against some big competition, FBS level competition. We have A&M against the Arkansas Razorbacks, and then we have UAPB going against Texas Tech. Ooh, that's a bad one down in Lubbock. Man, they're not going to win that one. But
no,
I
stay
know
healthy. That's the takeaway.
Both of these teams stay healthy, and I know I'm going with the Razorbacks as well as the Red Raiders. Do you concur?
Yes, it's not a UAB situation in either one of those places.
All right, man. So let's talk about the Labor Day Classic. It's going down here in H-Town. 40th annual Labor Day Classic. Really, Ralph Cooper kind of educated us. This is number 41. The first one was not PV and Texas Southern. It was Texas A&I. Those guys played against Texas Southern, but here we are. Chris Dishman, Tremaine Jackson. This wasn't just showmanship. I just think these guys don't know one another yet, but I also know they rubbed each other the wrong way.
Yep.
What are you hearing outside of H-Town?
Man, the hype. I don't know if I've ever heard of a Labor Day Classic more hype than this one.
It's been years, man. I'm gonna tell you, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I'm hoping Miss Rector's in attendance, and I'm hoping she gets to support her former kindergarten student there that didn't allow him to go to recess. And man, that was the funniest clip of the president. Shout out to Miss Rector and no recess, man. I was dying.
I think Miss Rector must be in her 70s or 80s now.
Yeah, I don't know who. Somebody needs to go pick her up from the nursing home and make sure she gets to this game for sure. And I'll be curious to see if it continues after the game. Like, do we have a Maynard Coach Prime moment where there's because I'll be very curious because if PV wins, does Tremaine hand Dishman some grass after the game and the handshake? Like, I'll be, because I got a feeling that Tremaine, if he finds a way to win, Kyle, I don't think he's going to be very.
No, he's not going to be nice about it.
And I don't think Dishman is on the flip side either. And I've got to say this. I am so glad Chris Dishman has come out of his shell, because the past year, man, everyone's been talking about, man, Dishman isn't talking and what's going on at Texas Southern. They've been quiet. He quietly had, and I don't say this jokingly or tongue in cheek, he probably had one of the best coaching jobs in the SWAC last year. And no one talked about it, because I don't know about you.
They were just a couple of games away from winning that division, man. Yeah.
They were a couple plays away from beating Lamar. They were a couple plays. They should have beaten Southern. That's just 2 wins. That's 7-5 year one. Man. If it flips, if the punter doesn't kick the ground, they're probably 7-5. And if their starting quarterback doesn't get hurt, who knows what it could be with KJ Cooper. But there were a ton of, and I know you saw it, 1-win predictions, 0-win predictions, 2-win predictions. This dude went 5-7, almost beat Southern, who won the West, and a top 25 Lamar team. He did a heck of a job coaching, man, and he deserves more credit than I think he gets. But to give my thoughts on the game, man, and we talked about this, PV had the 4th best FCS transfer portal class in our rankings. They added a ton of guys that played. And to me, that brings so much value. I think the secondary for PV is going to shine this weekend. That's where I'm looking. Okay. Randall, the transfer from ULM, was a starter at the FBS level last year and somehow winds up at PV. They returned Zachary, who was a really solid redshirt freshman last year at boundary corner. He's back. The offensive line actually returns like 5 or 6 guys that played over 200 snaps last year. So they'll be experienced. If they can find a way to check the box of quarterback off, I do think PV is going to be good. Am I buying the win the SWAC hype? No, I'm not there yet. But could they compete for the West? I don't see why not. Guess
I
what?
think
There's
the
been
West
a lot
is wide open.
Exactly. So I'm going to go with PV here, Kyle, but in a close one. The score we put out for the website was 27-23 PV.
All right. 3 months ago, I got a lot of flack from Texas Southerners. I told everybody 3 months ago, it's going to be a 3-point win for PV, man. They roasted me. I said, I'm sticking with it. And well, Zach, I'm kind of walking it back. I'm down to no. I'm down to 1.5.
Okay.
It's gonna be 1.5 points because what I saw personally at that press conference and how both of them answered my question, like they're like, Muslim, we're gonna get up and get you. I was like, oh, time out, man. Time out. I'm just asking a question about your players. Players are important too. So but bottom line is this: it's good to have drama. It's good to have tension. It's great to have intensity. I just don't want it to be where the kids it overboils and they don't know how to handle it out on the field. Hopefully we don't have that type of situation. That's the only thing I don't want to see. And I think Dishman and Jackson are going to be fine. Whoever wins, they're going to be fine. They're going to handle it because there's a lot more football left to be played this season. It could be a great learning lesson to whomever loses as well. But in the long run, the coaching staffs, you got a second-year coaching staff that I don't think he had any major changes there, right there in Texas Southern. And, Jackson brings his boys over, his near championship winning boys over with him. So it's a lot of good storylines that builds up to say who will win this thing. It depends upon who makes the most mistakes. They would lose. That's it. I think it really comes down to those details. And if we have turnovers, multiple turnovers, if we don't have the ability to convert on third down, which has been a problem from Texas Southern from year to year to year to year. And but if you have KJ Cooper, who is going to be like the HBCU Cam Newton out there, I think PV may have a problem. But it's always a lot of ifs that we're talking about. And right now, guys, I just think it's a draw. And it's very, very close game. But it's going to take who is able to create turnovers and capitalize on those turnovers when you have those extra possessions to be able to do something with the football. So that's how I look at it. And that Southern game last year, I don't care what Coach Dishman said. He should have ran that ball out the end zone, 2 points, and just kick it and make them try to go 80 yards to do something. I disagreed with that one. But that's why they pay him the big bucks and not me. Well, Zach, man, this has been great. We got to do this again, Doc.
Absolutely.
We really do, because guys, Zach dropped some great knowledge on you guys, and that's why the Blue Bloods as well as FCS Central does a great job. And Gerald is with you, right? Gerald Huggins?
Yes.
Yeah. So Gerald, he's over at Morgan State. Is he still player personnel guy?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I got to root for the Morgan State Bears this year.
Down here in Mobile this weekend.
My cousin is there. Yeah, and they're traveling all the way to Mobile. She's now a Morgan State Bear. She said, Kyle, you got to wear a t-shirt. So I'm going to get a t-shirt. I'm going to wear it on air one day. Now I have to be able to root for my man, Damon Wilson, and the Morgan State Bears as well. All right, man. Zach, it's been great. any last words, anything you would like to tell the people before we sign off?
Nah, man. Listen, again, I appreciate it so much, man, and love the platform. And anytime, man, I'll make time to jump on here whenever, man. But like you said, we definitely got to do this again.
Same here, man. Just let me know if there's anything you need on my end. Tell the people how they can find you out there on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, FCS Football Central on si.com/college/FCS, and the Blue Bloods on all podcast streaming platforms and YouTube.
Definitely. And do you have a personal social media ID as well?
Yeah, at Zach Mckinnell, man, my name. At ZachMckinnell.
Guys, go out there and follow Zach, please. He drops knowledge and he gives great information about the game, inside the game, and he knows the game as well because he played the game. So that's Zach Mckinnell. I'm Kyle T. Mosley. You go to HBCU Legends, and we're at HBCU Legends on all social media platforms. And you can follow me at KTMOZE on social media as well. Zach, we on SI strong here, baby.
Yep.
I know Mark would love to see this. So
yes, for sure.
Definitely. Let's have a great Labor Day weekend. Zach, you be safe with you and your family. Have fun out there. And guys, you guys be safe and have fun as well out enjoying yourself. But enjoy the games. Just don't watch it. If you're in town, go to it. That's what I need to tell you. Always be tenacious and don't ever give up on your dreams. I'm Kyle T. Mosley. Take care. Thank you, Zach. All right, HBCU Legends fans, it's Kyle T. Mosley here with a special one. It's kickoff and season openers for so many teams across the whole land. HBCU football is in full swing. And HBCU Go, they're right there in the midst of it, bringing you Jackson State hosting the Hampton Pirates, I should say, coming up. But you know, it's the Jackson State Tigers, the reigning champs, and she's going to be on the sidelines covering this game with Charlie Neal, and John Kelly is none other than Lawrencia Moten. How you doing, Lawrencia?
I'm so good. It's so good to talk to you.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Look, you guys, I know it's been a minute since we spoke, and I know the last time was when you were coming out as the basketball analyst and play-by-play person for HBCU Go with the all-female team.
Yes, all-female broadcast crew. That was amazing. And now I'm into my second love, football. Football season is a different beast, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go on to that, talk about yourself. How do people know you? Because you're so popular on Instagram and social media, but tell us about Lawrencia.
Oh, thanks so much for asking. I grew up playing basketball. My dad played in the NBA. He played for the Washington Wizards, Vancouver Grizzlies, and the Los Angeles Lakers. His name is Lawrence Moten, all-time leading scorer at Syracuse. So that's how I got my foot in the door playing basketball. And then I went on to play Division I basketball at University of Hartford, where I graduated in 2020. And it's funny enough because people ask me, like, how did you get foot in the door by being, an analyst or working on TV. And my first ever game was on ESPN because Hartford, Connecticut is near Bristol, where the ESPN headquarters are. And I was doing sideline reporting for a men's basketball team. So you mean learn by fire? That's what I had to do. I just jumped right in.
Well, good. I know Charlie Neal is great at discovering great talent out there, and I'm glad he was able to bring you on board. I've been very impressed with you as well as Nia Simone. You ladies really kill it. You bring a lot of energy to the broadcast as well. Talk about being a part of a team with the legendary Charlie Neal and the greatness of Mr. John Kelly.
I mean, it's so awesome because I learn from them every single game. And like you mentioned, Charlie is the reason why I was able to work for HBCU. So when I met him, it was at a golf tournament for the 100-Man Foundation. And he was in the same cart as Doug Williams. So I went to this event looking for Doug because I needed that interview. And then I met Charlie and we hit it off. And, he saw the talent in me and made sure to keep in contact with me because this was still in the beginning phases of HBCU Go. And I think we have that special bond because of that. But I just get to learn from them every single game. It's been awesome. Their insight and their talent is unmatched.
Look, Charlie is a walking library of HBCU and Black college sports, period. And he still can remember games back in 1970, what. And I'm like, wow, I'm still amazed every time I speak with him and have a conversation through an interview, because he just brings new information that I have no idea existed.
Yeah, no, every single game I'm learning something new. And, on the sideline, I get to hear their entire broadcast. And there's probably not been a game where I haven't been, surprised with some of the information that I've heard up in the booth. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, look, you're going right into the Tigers' den, so to speak,
Yes.
In Jackson, Mississippi. The reigning champs from Jackson, Mississippi. They defeated South Carolina State in the Celebration Bowl, and this is their first time being introduced to the public for the 2025 season. How special is that? What's the buzz around Jackson right now?
Ooh, well, personally, I haven't seen too many people out and about, but when I speak to the coaches, they're super excited. I think that the biggest thing with this season is that they understand that they have a target on their back. And I spoke to Coach TC Taylor, and he told me that the team motto this season is "We like that." And then he did like a little muscle because he wants his team to embrace the target that they have on their back. He doesn't want them, he being humble is important, but I mean, they came in as the preseason #1 pick in the conference. So they understand like the pressure, but they don't want to shy away from it. So I think that's different than last year. Last year's motto was "Guard the Yard," which they were able to do. They went undefeated in the vet where they're going to play tomorrow. And I think that they're ready to just pick up where they left off.
Yeah. Have you been to the vet before?
I have. And I mean, they've had multiple sold out games.
Yes.
And I think I was at one last year when they were playing Mississippi Valley. And it was senior day. So obviously, the fans were there, but the fanfare is just unmatched. The sonic boom of the South at halftime shuts it down every single time. And the 2025 HBCU Labor Day Battle of the Bands is actually on the 31st.
It is.
So there's going to be, even more eyes on this game. So everyone's excited.
It's going to be a big competition, if I recall, during this release. Several of the major bands are going to descend on Jackson to participate. So it'll be a great one, especially having the sonic boom of the South there.
Exactly.
So talk to me about the band. I know you had a chance to be able to speak to the band director, as well as, I guess, a couple of the players and drum majors as well. Is that correct?
Well, I didn't get to speak to any of the drum majors, unfortunately, but I did get to speak to Dr. Roderick Little, and he told me he's extremely excited for the games, per usual. His students really take pride in what they do. A lot of them are on scholarship, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. So this is like a real job for them, just like athletes. They are athletes in their own right. And when you see what they're able to put together, it makes total sense. So
yeah. Look, this past weekend, they were here in the Houston area for the National Battle of the Bands, and Jackson State took it to everybody. And I think it was probably neck and neck for me between them as well as Texas Southern University, who had the best performances. But, Jackson State never not pleases the crowd and get the crowd into everything. I always like to tell people at the football games, your team is in trouble as soon as you hear Jackson State start playing JSU rock you. You're in big trouble. Yeah. So that means you're losing the game.
No, it's so awesome. And I think that's something that a lot of people like myself, who went to a PWI, right? So I didn't have that college experience going to an HBCU. And I think coming into this job, just seeing the fanfare, being in that environment is really unmatched. Like the feeling that you have, and I'm sure like the players are able to feed off of that.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you guys have been, you've covered the basketball, you've covered the football. What are some of the better environments, or let me say it like this: what are some of your favorite environments thus far?
Ooh. Favorite so far, I obviously have to say Jackson, because I think that just the Vet is a beautifully crafted stadium. I think there's a lot of history
A
there, and you
lot of
feel it
history.
from the second that you step on the field.
Mhm.
But for me, other than them, I enjoyed Bowie State because I'm from Washington, D.C., so that wasn't far from home. So my parents could come to the game. My sister was actually on the sideline with me as well. Bowie State, there's a lot of tradition there. And they have a really good program, the CIAA. So that was awesome. And then we took a lot of time last year. I think we were at Bethune-Cookman 3 times. So in Daytona,
Really?
we were there. And if you've been to Bethune-Cookman, where their stadium is off campus. It's a little bit away, but there's one road leading you down there. And I mean, the traffic getting there is no joke, because everyone, I mean, the tailgate, it's an entire party, and every single game was just super fun to attend. So those
Wow.
are my top 3.
Really? All right. Excellent. Bethune, I heard about that area in
Okay.
Daytona, man.
Yeah,
It can be kind of
CJ.
real special down there. So,
Yeah.
but definitely. So coming from a PWI, you said you getting ingrained and indoctrinated into the HBCU culture and the life and the sports scene. How does that make you feel? Like, wow, this is really special. You can see different layers and different textures that you don't get over at the PWI.
You definitely. I think that my background not going to an HBCU has a different lens, because I've gotten to see both sides. And so I also get to see, where these schools deserve a little bit more light. And so I'm so blessed to have the job that I do, because
Okay.
we're giving those student athletes in these programs the notoriety that they deserve. Because going to a PWI, certain things are already understood, certain there's money allocated to certain things that HBCUs just don't have at the moment. But I'm so blessed to be able to have my job, so I can compare and contrast and understand where some things are kind of missing.
Yeah.
And make sure that moving forward, we can make a change. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just making sure that these student athletes truly get what they deserve with NIL. Now there's tons of opportunities for those students to get money. And I think that all starts with viewership, right? And so with a platform like HBCU Go, we're giving those students and those schools the eyes, and then it's up to them what they do with it.
Yeah. Look, HBCU Go, Byron Allen's baby. He's worked with Curtis Simons to be able to grow this thing into the mega HBCU Go. You guys have several classics this year that you're going to participate in and broadcast to the viewers. Will you be a part of any of those?
I sure will. And your alma mater, Morehouse, HBCU New York Classic on September 13th.
And I can't go. Oh.
At the Meadowlands, MetLife, where the Jets and the Giants play. I mean, this game is going to be amazing. I think it's so awesome for these student athletes to be able to, play in NFL stadiums. I don't think there's a lot of schools that get that opportunity. And Morehouse and Howard are going to shut it down, I'm sure. Both tremendous programs, storied programs, powerhouses. Too bad you can't go. I mean, that would be good for you.
Look, I was there at the first one, and it was a great event. Albert Williams, the founder of the event, had a great time. You had Spike Lee there.
Nice.
And Spike has come to every one, I believe, except one, but he's usually there. Then you have all the East Coast alumni from Howard as well as Morehouse being able to descend on my MetLife Stadium, which is a great stadium to be able to have it. I love MetLife. So I think all in all, I would love to see my Tigers win, but I'm a realist. It's gonna be difficult.
You never know. I mean, I really think
I'm a realist, Lawrencia.
You gotta say it, not me. I don't know. I don't know until I get on those coaches' calls and I feel the energy, and then I start making my opinions. But I'm leading up to the game. I mean, it's anybody's game. You never know.
Okay. Look.
Yeah, but definitely that.
I'm Morehouse blue and true.
Yeah,
So no, that's my goat hat.
I was about to say.
Here's
Oh,
on Morehouse. I'm right here. I'm always Morehouse.
oh yeah.
I love my house. But Coach Mathis is really a great guest that we've had on with us many a time. So I like the fact that he's really being able to help out and being able to develop these young men over at Morehouse. And that's the more important thing, to make sure that these guys get a good foundation to be able to do whatever they want to do for their future.
Exactly. Yes, certainly.
So I understand. So Charlie won't be a part of this.
Yes. So it has came out that Charlie is not going to be doing play-by-play for this game, but James Hadnot will. So if you guys are familiar with Hbcu, he did all of the cable broadcasts last season, and he filled in for us.
James is good. Yeah,
James is really good. We actually won an award for one of the games that he did in Daytona. It was the Clark Atlanta, the big upset. James was on the call for that game, and Hbcu, our network, our team, actually won an award for that game. So,
excellent.
An Ellie Award. So, yeah.
Have you come close to winning any journalistic awards yourself?
I mean, I've been nominated, but I would love to know. I think this was the first time that I've actually fully been, and it just wasn't just me, right? So this was the entire production team, but that's definitely a goal of mine. So not an individual award, no.
So you do a great job. I listen to your podcast as well. How did that all come out to be?
Ooh, so it's funny enough, when I was playing basketball, one thing that I knew was that I needed to get the experience, right? So with this type of job, you can have all the connections in the world. You can have, the greatest GPA, but you have to actually do the work. People have to see that you know how to talk to people and like how your presence is on air. So I needed practice. And I actually started my podcast sort of while I was interviewing my teammates. And my team, before NIL and everything, they would post it on their Instagram Live, and it would kind of like be in the archives. And then when I graduated, I was like, this is during COVID. So we were doing interviews just like you and I are doing now, right? Because we couldn't go outside, but we still wanted to talk to each other. So I was doing it on Instagram Live. And then when we were actually out on the other side of the pandemic, I decided to partner up with a management, and they were actually able to produce every single video. So all I have all I have to do is get the guests, and then we bring them into the studio. We film in Washington, D.C. So you definitely got to come by if you're ever in the area.
Definitely.
And it's just been an awesome journey. I think the biggest thing for me, my true purpose in life, is humanizing athletes, right? Making sure that people understand that these are holistic beings more than anything, because I feel like nowadays with so much social media and so many people, with their Twitter fingers, sometimes you can say things and forget that this person is just like you. And I think that maybe the disconnect there is because we don't know a lot about them. So we might see that, this person just signed a $1 million contract. So we're looking at them as that version of them, but we don't understand that, okay, they went to, a high school right down the street from me, and, their grandma, they lived in a certain life that I lived as well. And I think that when we get more information about people, it's easier for us to understand them and humanize them, see them as people. So that's my goal with Beyond Ballin'. And I don't speak to athletes, beyond the ball, but I speak to everyone. Anyone can be a baller. We're all ballers in our own right.
Right.
But
you got to get me on it. I'm a baller.
Literally, you have to come on. I'm not joking. I'm gonna want to do that. And I think it's been an amazing thing. I've been able to connect and learn so much about so many people, and I just love asking questions. I'm a documentary fiend. I love learning about people. Yeah, I am.
Cool.
So,
Look, you had your dad on as well, right?
I had my dad on. That was an amazing episode. He was home one day, and because now he lives home. He's actually the general manager for a school in DC called Digital Pioneers Academy. Okay. And that's a pretty big deal because, there's not a lot of GMs in high school. So him and Carmelo, I think, are one of three or two of three in the whole country right now. So with NIL, there's a lot of new things happening. Wow. But before he moved home, I had told him, I want to have you on. And I think he was kind of like, yeah, I'll do it. Of course, But I don't think he thought it was going to be a production. I mean, we had a 3-camera setup. We had huge cameras. I don't think he was ready for in the questions.
Well, he looked pretty cool. Just relax.
He is a cool guy. He will never let you see him sweat. But I know him, and I saw, and I'm like, oh yeah, you weren't expecting all this, because I kind of let him peek at the questions, but the version that I gave him wasn't the version that I actually, wasn't my tightened up version. So there were some questions that he wasn't prepared for, but all in all, it was great. And I think that doing things like this is amazing because it archives it forever, right? So your kids can see your kids. And I think that that's something that we need to take advantage of, just making sure to enshrine these people's lives.
It's so funny you said that, because I had a potential guest. I guess his PR person wanted to know, who have you ever interviewed before?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I started chronicling all the guys from Byron Allen to Deion Sanders to Charlie Neal and the list just kept going and going and going and going. Then the response was, "I'm so sorry, Mr. Mosley. I hope I didn't offend you. Very impressive list. What can we do for you?" I'm like, wow.
It is really interesting how some people see it like that, right? Like they want to make sure that
you're legit.
Incredible. Yeah. But I'm not that type of person. And I think that comes from my journalistic background as well. I think that, everyone has a story, no matter who they are. And it's just up to you as the journalist to get that out of them, right? Because what you frame, how you frame the question could change everything.
Yeah. So let me ask you some questions. Yeah. So you've been relaxing for this season.
Yes.
I've seen the great trips that you've taken. You've been on the beach, in the water, and you've seen some beautiful sights. What has been the best for you this off season?
Oh, great question. I went back to Jamaica. So my mom is Jamaican. And yes. And so we stay with family. I don't stay on a resort. And I think that's always amazing, just connecting back to my roots. My grandma passed about 2 years ago when we buried her there. Okay. And so I made it. Thank you. And so I made it my business. I told myself like I was going to get back to Jamaica way more often. So I've been going around 2 times a year. But last year I actually went 3. So overachiever. And Jamaica is always a soft spot for me. So Jamaica, definitely.
What part of Jamaica are we talking about? Ocho Rios?
Yep, Ocho Rios. Yep. So we fly into Montego Bay, and then it's about like 2 hours, an hour and a half from there. Yeah. Yeah,
we did that trip with my son when he was 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Then we went back. I think he was around 9.
Nice.
And so he really enjoyed that trip. So 1 year old, all he remembered was the pictures of him in the sand and loving it, but we had a great time.
Jamaica's unmatched. I tell everybody that if you haven't been, you have to go. For such a small island, they've had such a huge impact on the world, right? Like when you go, you realize how you could get from one end of the island like within hours, right? But like when you think about this small island, how many people are saying Wagwan and wearing the colors, you know what I mean? Like all over the world. So it's just amazing to see the impact.
Yeah. Look, if I go, I need to interview Usain Bolt, one of the female sprinters.
Yes.
I mean, because those sprinters have just been tremendous over the past 20 plus years. How they challenged the USA out of nowhere. I remember for some of those Olympic medals, but it's been great to see. Yes. So it's good that you're doing this. You are highly respected in the industry. You've been doing a great job. What's next for you?
Oh, I think the biggest thing for me is just to continue to do what I'm doing, but get more eyes on it, right? So with a network like Hbcu, it's been amazing because we're exponentially growing each year. So this season, we just found out that we're going to actually have some games on Amazon, which is really cool because everyone has an Amazon Prime membership. And during our production meeting, we were going over it, and they told us that, like, basically if you have Amazon, you're able to just see it. So like just how you would see like an NFL primetime game on Amazon, that's where you can see HBCU Go games. So just being able to do what I do, I love what I do, but just have more eyes on it. So whatever that looks like, right? Just growing in that aspect.
So I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to write Curtis Simons a letter and saying, Curtis, you got to be able to give her a promotion, let her have her own show or something to that nature.
That would be cool.
Yeah. that would be cool, right?
Cool. Maybe have the podcast on there in some way, shape, or form.
That would be great.
No, all of it. I want to do everything. I want to do it all.
Hey,
that's the goal.
You can do it.
Thank
Just
you.
stay true to yourself. That's the main thing. All right. Any last thoughts or comments on why people should be able to watch the Jackson State Tigers versus the Pirates of Hampton?
I think it's just going to be a very exciting game. You know, Jackson State has lost a few key players in the transfer portal. Inevitably, when you have such a great season like they did last year, sometimes bigger programs want to come and take your players, but it's not like they lost anything because they've rebuilt. They have 19 transfers in. And I think it's just going to be exciting because a lot of people are thinking that Jackson State isn't the same Jackson State. And then as far as Hampton, I think they have a lot to prove. And if they are able to pull off this upset, I think it will truly put a fire underneath them and propel them throughout the entire season. It will be a huge confidence boost for Hampton if they're able to win. So I would say just watch the game because no matter what the outcome is, you're going to see some happy players. And I think it's going to change the way that the season is going to go either way.
All right, definitely. What time does the broadcast kick off?
2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're on Central Time here. So 2 p.m. CT, but 3 p.m. ET.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, Lawrencia, please tell everybody how they can be able to find you on the World Wide Web.
Ooh, okay. So I think for Twitter, I'm Lawrencia Moten, just my first and last name. And then for Instagram, lala.moten. You can find me on YouTube. My podcast is called Beyond Ballin' with Lala. It's on YouTube for the visual component and then all audio streaming platforms. So Amazon, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. But yeah, just reach out. If there are ever any, students who want to get into journalism, please don't hesitate to ask me questions. I love answering questions.
Great.
But yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Guys, make sure you follow her. Great podcast. I'm telling you, I love it. I like what you've been doing. I would say this, not just like, I really appreciate the growth that I've seen in you over the past few years, and I'm very proud of it.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Check her out. Jackson State and Hampton. I keep wanting to say Howard. That's the other HU, guys. But yeah, and that's going to be a good game this year, too. I think you guys are broadcasting that one, too, right?
Yes, we are. Yes. And the other broadcast crew is going to be over there, I think. So we're kind of flip-flopping. So, okay. But HBCU Go the network is definitely broadcasting it. All
right. You guys doing some great things over at HBCU Go. I'm Kyle T. Mosley. And don't forget, also, Fayetteville will be taking on Benedict College, the Tigers over there, over on the Grill, right?
Yes.
I think it's going to be on the Grill. And that's let's see, 5 p.m. Eastern kickoff, if I'm not mistaken. So
it'll follow us. Yeah, it'll follow us. Yeah, okay. Right after our game.
All right. You guys make sure you get to see that. And we cannot forget, on Sunday, the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic will take place with Virginia Union and Miles. And that's going to be a very important game. My man Doug Williams, as well as James Shack Harris, they are the founders of the Black College Football Hall of Fame. This is their special one each year, but this is a historic one where they're going to have a simulcast with the NFL Network, where Steve White, Bucky Brooks, and those guys are going to be out there in full force, in tandem with HBCU Go. That's going to be special. All right, I'm Kyle T. Mosley. Go to hbculegends.net to follow us on Sports Illustrated. We provide the exclusive HBCU content for SI, and you can check us out at HBCU Legends on all social media platforms, and me, KTMOZE, on all social media platforms as well. Lawrencia, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you.
All right. And you guys take care and have a safe Labor Day weekend. We're going to have some on-site spots from the Labor Day Classic between Prairie View and Texas Southern. So stay tuned to that. And you guys just have a great weekend and be safe with your families. Take care.